What is it about riding a bike that is so liberating? What unites us all is the craving for that special feeling. This is what inspired the developers at Garneau to create the innovative, award-winning X-Comfort technology, optimizing comfort to maximize performance and, most of all, the good feelings that make us so passionate about riding. The brand new X-Comfort Zone incorporates an elasticized zone that expands up to 5 millimeters to accommodate B through D+ foot widths. We all pedal in the same way. As you push down, your toes naturally splay. And the dynamic changes that happen inside your shoe as your feet contract and expand under pressure as you ride. The pressure and friction created as the outside of your foot expands over and over against your shoe can create serious and painful hot spots and irritations. The longer you ride, the worse it can become. This makes for a level of never-before-experienced comfort in the highest-performing cycling footwear. Every cyclist rides for that special feeling that cycling brings to us. Each one of us has our own version of what it means to enjoy the ride. We just help make it possible.
Go down the road. All right, don't throw your arms in the air. Don't do anything crazy. No random shit, okay?
I had my own strategy. I was actually working for you guys. So what I did at the last moment, I just pulled back. So you guys need to buy me some beers.
Esports. We love to play. Since the 1980s, video games and competitive gameplay have been part of our Western culture. The video arcade, the Atari, Nintendo, PlayStation, even PC gaming are all part of this rich cultural lineage of play. We play ourselves, we watch, we even compete. What makes an esport? Well, any individual or team game that can be played on a level playing field in competition, whether that's live or online.
Still alive! Charm's gonna let not swim! Is he gonna be able to walk away? Baker is still running! Still damaging! There's another turn! And expression goes down!
While there are half a dozen top-tier esports, more than 100 different titles are being played competitively around the world. Esports break all boundaries. They're played by men and women across cultures and can be played on consoles, PCs, and even mobile devices. Esports are truly a world sport. Over the last decade, we've seen interest, broadcasting, and live events eclipse those of their traditional sport counterparts. Esports are a massive draw. We love to watch them live, and we love to watch them stream. For people under 30, video games are the most popular media industry in the world, more popular than television, music, or movies. But competitive video game play is not just something we do, it's something we watch. In 2016, more people watched the League of Legends Championships than the World Series, the NBA Championships, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. That makes the top 3 sporting events in the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and a video game competition. Esports are the sport of the rising generation. Talented players, broadcasters, and managers are filling every level from professional, now to collegiate, high school, and even Pee-wee. To many, esports is the biggest world they've never heard of. But to millennials, it's the future of competition, of broadcasting, and of sport. But not the distant future, the future of today. This is esports. Cyclogen's Virtual Rankings is a ranking system for Zwift racers, built to make racing more fun for all levels of ability. The rankings are based on historical data, as well as new race results, which are uploaded immediately. Racers are divided into divisions, and points are distributed based on the strength of the field in the race. Terms are separated into months, quarters, years, and lifetime. And at the end of each term, racers are able to be promoted to a new division. High-scoring elite racers are also automatically under consideration to participate in a CVR World Cup event.
We're on a journey and we're going by bike. Bicycles set people free. It starts as kids when bikes set us free to explore the edges of our neighborhood. It continues into adulthood when weekend rides set our minds free from work and worry. It's the reason why still today bikes are at the heart of everything we do. Through our products, we propel bike lovers forward, be it in pursuit of personal enjoyment or peak performance. Through our business approach, we strengthen our community in Madison, Wisconsin, where we design and build the vast majority of our American-made products. Through our advocacy, we promote healthier, happier, bike-smart communities, both locally and nationally. We set out on this journey the day Sarah and Chris combined names to form Saris. So grab a bike and join us. We're on a journey and we're going by bike.
Welcome, everybody. You'll notice that over there, that's Beth York. I'm Chris Haskell. Frank is in the wings doing his crazy stuff. You ready to kick this thing off, Beth?
I am so excited to be here. Look at us.
No kidding. Here we are on the dock of Watopia. Most of Mixer is like, what the what? You're about to see the hardest video game ever. These are real people on real bikes, and we'll show you all about them in just a second because most of them are streaming cameras as well. But here we are in the women's pen getting ready to kick this thing off. But here is what we are doing. It is the race of the day, Watopia Hilly Forward. We're going to do 4 laps up what is known as the wall. This is a big, steep section, 4 laps around this course, 36.4 total kilometers. The wall is a whole lot of straight up. 100 meters of overall climbing through this, then a big descent. They'll come around this lap multiple times. A couple of little kickers in the process, and then a big sprint finish, guaranteed to be exciting. Or your money back, Mixer. I'm talking to you. Okay, now the riders that you're going to want to pay close attention to here in Zone E of this worldwide event include Matt Looker. He is the guy who has been delivering pain to all of the other performers throughout the season, but he is being chased, or actually chasing this guy, Jeff Muse. Who's got 2 thumbs and can kick your butt? This guy. Jeff Muse is amazing. But on the women's side, Carrie Conaber, the CVR World Cup LA, the major champion. She is a competitor extraordinaire, and this is her kind of course. Julian Bearden, however, is at the top of this women's field. So as we take a look here, Beth, real quick at who we have in the standings here of Zone E, who do you think is going to shake this thing up today?
Well, Zone E always delivers such a great race for us. Obviously throughout the course, we have our regulars, across the men's field. We know Kim Little is always exciting to watch. His stream is always fun. But I'm going to be seeing, I'm wondering what Jeff might bring, and Michael. You can see the men's A and B and C, all the different divisions. Of course, the winner of the A bracket will be the one that gets to go to our final in Vancouver. So lots of battles today. The points are all on the table because out of the 8 races in our CVR league, only 6 will count. So there's going to be a lot of strategy. And even if someone doesn't take away the top spot, they might be doing some defensive moves to keep someone who's nipping at their heels at bay in the points race. So, but I'm looking for Jeff and maybe even Michael, but Kim always brings us a show. So we'll see. And how about the women's field? Do we have that as well?
We'll bring that up
show that later?
But we'll drop into the men's field right now. We're going to kick this thing off in the start. Now, for those of you who don't know, we're inside of a minute here. Beth, we'll ask you to explain it. We'll bring Frank in here in just a little bit. We've got some strategic questions for him. But as we look at this group, right, we've got about 50 seconds. This laser gate is going to drop. They're all on these magical trainers, which are going to disappear when that laser gate drops. What is the first 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds of just a flat start race like for those of the folks who are just joining us on Mixer?
You come out like a bullet off the dock here. And because this particular course, you hit the hill pretty quickly, I feel like there's not going to be any let up. Oftentimes you'll see them settle into a pace after the first 90 seconds and settle it down a little bit after that big, massive power and everyone jockeying not to get dropped from that front group. But it can happen. And with that hill right there, people cannot afford to not make the front group here. So at 5 seconds to go, Chris, take it away.
Oh my goodness, it's about to get crazy, go nuts here on the dock. And this is, of course, where it all starts. Everyone wants to get up in that lead group, but this is not where you get away. Michael Durr in that group, Jason Olsen also in that group. So many good, strong riders leading the charge right here. Morten Vang up there as well. He's high in the standings. We'll call his name a number of times today, no doubt. One of these men is going to come away with the polka dot jersey on this first lap, guaranteed. That or your money back. I'm giving a lot of money back guarantees today, Beth. I don't know that that's proper. But the guys you want to look for is Lars Peikenbrink. He's one of the men you want to pay close attention to. We've got a Domke there. I want to find out a little bit more about Domke. He's got a check mark next to his name, which means he's a verified rider. That either means he's a professional or engaged in the professional ranks in some way where he's well known. He could even be an actor. It's just this mystery wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in a... I don't know what else is more than that.
A cloak of invisibility.
There you go. And it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, we have determined exactly what our collection of references and puns are going to be today. It's going to be the Harry Potter universe. It always develops early. And she said cloak of invisibility. We're going to find ourselves in that zone, no doubt. Frank, you better bring your best. You better bring your best game today as it relates to Harry Potter universe.
So, right out of the gate, too, we did see a few of those power-ups drop, but those needed to be used. We don't gain power-ups under each banner as you normally would in some of the Zwift racing that we see. So strategically, people have used it to hold their position. And as they come across this bridge, they're going to hit that first climb that they will do 4 times. This climb, it's going to be maybe a minute and a half, minute 40 seconds, but it takes a beating on your legs here. So right now we're on board with Looker, and here we are already started up.
Yeah, but looking at Matt Looker, we're going to see things from his perspective, and it kicks right out of the gates. We're 1.4 kilometers into it, and the climb starts proper. Huge explosion at the front by Buchholz. Muse trying to stay on his wheel. Morten Vang trying to close that gap as well. They're still in blobular form here. That's a shape, ladies and gentlemen. Peikenbrink also trying to climb up there. They are already seeing separation off the back. Young, Olsen in the wrong part of this country right now. They're in Sufferville. That is on the outskirts of Fast Town. Jeff Muse now taking over the front. Henderson right on his tail. And Yanni Berghold also right there. Matt Looker trying to close that gap. This is where it gets super dangerous.
Muse!
Yes, so with a big explosion off the front. He can't win the race perhaps on this first climb of 4 up this powerful climb, but he can get some of these guys off the back. Okay, gap starting to form there. Henderson going with him. Pike and Brink at the tip of the sward trying to chase these boys down. But this is a 2-second gap on a hill that means something. Look at that gap, Beth.
You know, I mean, just getting that right out of the gate is making the guys behind him work. I think that group is going to close it down. He's not going to get away. Henderson, 3 seconds. I don't think either of those two are going to get away because there's such a large group coming up behind them. So they'll close it down, but they are spending some energy right here. And it might be just a way to guarantee that they don't get dropped on this first climb. I don't think anyone's going to get dropped in these front 5 riders here. But that 5 seconds already, though, he's over the top. You can see the confetti on the right-hand side of the screen, which means those folks have set a PR. So lots of confetti. So these guys means every time the last 30 days, this is the fastest time they've made up the hill. So here is the telemetry here. We've got Lars 5 seconds out in front in the lead. It does flatten out before you start to go back down the hill a little bit, but it will, you can see here, how did you pronounce that name, Chris? I want to make sure I don't butcher it.
Lars Pike and
Brink.
Handsome young fella. He's going to try to catch on to the back at the time they come under the banner right here. It looks like he's going to reconnect with Muse and Henderson. But I feel bad, guys. I think what you're going to find is that Vang and Young and Berkhold and Durr and Looker and all of these guys are going to climb back into your back pocket here in just a second, aren't they, Beth?
Yeah, you can't. It's hard to shake. Everyone's feeling fresh. Everyone's feeling. You're trying to ride that line of you need to stay with the group. You need to spend it because once you fall off, the gap it just opens up and gets bigger because this group, 5 to 10 people, it's just going to accelerate with the draft. Okay, it looks like someone's making a break here off the front on the little flat on the hill here. You can see it from Looker's point of view, and he's chasing it down Young, and I think he's trying to catch up those few seconds. You can see the riders in front of him. He's like, I'm going to get them on this descent because sometimes people naturally slow down, and these guys are actually popping it up to over 6-7 watts per kilogram to try to close it down, getting a ride on there. You can see at the top of your screen there, and there he is. Okay, so we've got the 3 front, and we've got Young, Looker, and Buckhold's just 3 and 5 seconds back. So that is likely to close. But those in the front, we'll need to keep an eye on them because they just expended some effort there to try to shake some riders, and it might not become realized until lap 2 or 3, right, Chris?
It may not. This may just be a little bit. Now, the people that I was worried about mostly in that group, folks like Young, who had to do the most work on that climb. Yes, everybody put out effort, but if you were further back in the group and you had to climb back in or are still in the process of climbing back in, I'm talking to you, Michael Durr from the UK, Team BRT. Those folks had to do this. All right. We're kicking this thing off. The women have just started. This is On Board with Anna Barbado, Team PTZ. She's a rider that you know well. You've competed with her. Snazzy overlay she's got going here. Superimposer, layers, are all sorts of textures, things going on here. Looking at her in the tunnel of darkness there. What is that flag? Can you identify that flag that you see right there, Beth?
I'm looking. Oh, okay. Yes, I see it. Yes. Okay. I'm terrible with flags. Go ahead.
Okay, we'll save the answer to this for just a second. We'll ask our mixer crowd. If any of you can identify the flag on Anna Barbado's screen right there, I will send you an awkward direct message. That's your prize. Play at your own
you're welcome for not being a spoiler on that flag.
Yes.
So yeah, Anna is a PTZ rider. She's a fierce rider. You can see that there's a little bit of gaps here in the women's field already, though. We've got up the road a little bit. We've got Bear and anchors, and I think that she's got to hop on there with Inslee if she wants to have a chance to close it down with the front group, because the front group 4 watts per kilogram, and she's doing 3.2. So that might just be what she has right now. And she's a steady rider. It's more of a time trialist, but I think she's going to motor up this hill. Hopefully she can close that gap and hop on with a couple of the riders in front of her. Maybe they can work together and shut it down. And here we have, awesome. Ruby is racing again. This is like her 6th race today. I'm not sure if it's really 6, but she participates in so many races. And one of the things I love about Ruby is that she is an endurance athlete. She's super strong. She is a coach with Pete's coaching group, and she really inspires a lot of the different riders to come out. So She looks like she's right now riding with Red from Fearless, and the two of them might be working together. If I read that correctly, but back on with Anna here. That is a cool overlay. I'm really enjoying the different overlays that people are using, and I like this one, Keep Calm and Pedal Hard. A little bit of personality flair. It's like they have their own bling, Chris. It's like all the riders have their own little bling that they bring to the party, and she looks pretty relaxed and comfortable. I think she's texting me right now, or maybe she's calling. No, she wasn't.
Probably. That's Erin Buchholz. She is racing in this race as well. She's in a great spot up here at the front of this event. Mary Wilkinson on her tail. Now, 26 seconds back is our leader. That's Jillian Bearden, and she's in a really tough spot there. Explosive on that first ride. Now you'll notice that Buchholz has a flag across her back. I won't keep you in suspense, Mixer. That's not the Belgian flag. You're like, what's Belgian? Don't they make waffles? Yes, Mixer. We know that they do. No, that's actually the German flag, and she gets that jersey one reason, right, Beth?
Right, that jersey, she is the fastest up the climb here, so not surprising here she's in the first spot. Here we see Carrie Conabair, and she's fighting her way. I think she's just taking a look at the gaps right now. How far back is she? Looks like
yeah, she's chasing hard. There
it is. Just 2 seconds back. So 4 seconds back. So this kind of like ebbs and flows a little bit, but you can see that Mary and Eva up front, and she's just 3 or 4 seconds. If anyone can close it down, it's Carrie. Now, one of the things that we know about Carrie is that the only thing tougher than her legs is her mind. She is a super... It's true. It's true. She just never says die. And she is the champion, world champion from Los Angeles. She's participated in 3 live events, and she is running this down. So you can see here on her screen, she is a Vixen rider. You can you see her point of view here, where she is kind of all alone. Here comes Sonia up behind her back as well, so she can hop on with Barbado, the two of those, and get on that train, and they can work together. And she's smiling and laughing. I must have said something really funny. She'll text me later and let me know. Mary Wilkinson here, and back to Buchholz, and she looks pretty relaxed and comfortable, Chris. Even her heart rate.
Yeah, now these riders are in different parts of the age spectrum here, but this is one of the things that makes cycling so amazing. And by the way, Mixer, you are watching the hardest video game ever. Grasslam, you're correct. That was Germany. But these riders, show you, Mary Wilkinson is showing you, she's been competitive for many, many years, and continues to be an amazing rider. That's what's great about virtual racing, is that while personal life, family life, work life don't necessarily allow you to be a pro tour racer, virtual racing allows you to continue to exercise your dominance, right? As Mary Wilkinson has done over this CVR World Cup Zone E event all season. This is week 6. Week 7. We've only got one more week of regular season, and then we're going to see who these champions are. We're going to see who's going to the playoffs. Now,
that's right. That's best 6 of 8 for the points race.
Best 6 of 8. You can check those out at cycledata.cvrworldcup.com, which is a great place to be. Okay, as we settle in with Carrie Conabair's stream starting to come online, look a little bit stronger. You see that she has closed down Stotts and Beardsley, and Haight is just 7 seconds ahead. This is what you do, by the way, when you get dropped on a climb, and I would know better than anybody. You jump in with a group of people and you start sled dogging. Do you know what sled dogging is, Beth?
It's wait, Professor. No, I'm going to let you give me the definition. I do, but
survival tactic. Yeah, it is. You get on with a group of people, and you get those people in front of you where you can use their aerodynamic advantage. You do some work too, but you get that group going. All right, we need to get up this hill a little bit faster. We need to try to set a good pace. Don't worry, we're going to recover at the bottom. Hey, why don't you move to the front? Let's do 3 seconds on the front. Okay, rotate right. There's better wind there. I mean, you just start mushing those. Yeah, mush. and you get that group of people
I
together.
thought you were going to go give me some, we had a little bit of math lesson last, so I thought you were going to give me some sort of like wind coefficients or something. So
there's a wind
it's always a trick question with you.
coefficient.
Always a trick question, Chris. That's right. So back on here with Eva Buchholz and Mary Wilkinson here, the two of them side by side, and the gap is just a little bit back for the rest of the women. But this is a longer, maybe it's not a longer race in terms of total minutes that they'll race, but it feels like a much longer race because 4 laps of hilly is a very unforgiving race. But there's a little something for everyone. There's something for your climbers. There's our lead here in the men's, if we're hopping back to the men's for a second. But there's a little bit for everyone. There's the climb, there's the flats, there's the rolling hills through the S's. So there is some places to sneak in a little bit of recovery. But not, you can never really rest because those hills do come. So here's the lead group here. It's Anna, Mary, and Eva. You can see that we've just got a couple seconds back. And then on the men's side, we've got Kurt, Lars, and Steve, 12 seconds. And then we've got sorry, I said that wrong, Kurt and Lars. And then we've got 12 seconds back, this group of 6 riders. So, and you can see on the course that they're coming into that back up to the hill again. And so we might see they're going to come over the bridge and they're going to go up the hill. And, we might see some more people fall off the back on this, depending on how much they spent on that first lap. This is only the second lap of 4. So anything can happen.
My goodness, they're flying up these climbs too. I mean, these are fast, crazy laps. I don't know that I could do laps this fast, even at my fittest. But these are some of the fastest riders in the virtual world, doing an amazing job showing us why they're so dang athletic. This is the hardest video game ever.
And the way that it works, if you are new to this platform and new to this this race, is that all of these riders are on their virtual trainers at home. The virtual trainers are getting signal from the Zwift game. When they hit an incline, their trainers will actually add resistance to the pedals, so you feel the hill. It's not just like, oh, you're on a hill and you go slower. It's like, yes, you're on a hill and you go slower, but you also feel the input from the course on your smart trainer, and it forces you to respond. So you are shifting gears. Your bike is the game controller. And you can see here with this group of people here, they all have these glowy bikes. And some of the earn-ups in the game are different equipment, and those equipment choices that riders can make in the game. Not everyone has that glowy bike, which is one of the faster bikes on course. Oh, here's a little move going. What do we got? Jeff Muse punching it up to the front, up to the top here. Vang forcing everyone to respond here. All those numbers are hitting the red. You can see on the right hand side of the screen that those numbers in the red is when you really start to put on the hurt. And we talked about this in our earlier race. You see those negative zeros. That's when someone's slipping away. And -1, that's seconds. You can see on the right hand side of the screen, those negative numbers are the distance and how many seconds the people are ahead of you. So when you're behind them, you need to add more to the pedal than the person in front of you. And what I mean by that is your watts per kilogram. So the watts per kilogram, there are plenty of people who do know the game. So I apologize if we're not talking down to you. We know you know, but there are people who might not know. Look at it go. Oh my gosh. Look at him.
My goodness. Matt Looker just reporting in the chat here. We can see it over on the right side that he got a puncture on his trainer. Oh no, he is so frustrated, dejected. That is not what he wants to see. Now he's in a great spot in the points. If you know what, if you hustle, my man, you can get back in this and maybe recover some points. Penn Henderson coming up over the top here. We love his overlay. You can see these overlays at cycleview.cvrworldcup.com because every rider who's streaming is visible there, and you can watch any of the riders that you want. Ride with Aloha. He's got the hang loose there. He's even got a little bit of that Ainokea look on his face. I don't know if you know this, Beth, but there was a mix-up before birth, and I should have been born Polynesian. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but sometimes I break into my pigeon, which is maybe a little bit. Got my Ainokea. Okay, so we've got Lars Peikenbrink right here doing some magic here. Peikenbrink sounds like a Hogwarts name if ever I heard one. Professor Peikenbrink. That is what he does.
Yeah, Huff and Puff. He's a Huff and Puff.
Nope, you screwed it up, Mom. Sorry about that. Hufflepuff. is what we would call that.
Huff and puff.
I love it. You totally mom that.
Listen, I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah.
keep momming those. Those are awesome. Hashtag Huff and Puff. Here we go. We're on board with Esther Buchholz. Excuse me, Ava Buchholz. You almost broke me, and I don't break very easily. But we got dang close.
All part of the plan, Chris. All part of the plan, Chris. I'm just going to start, doing my seated heats and stuff. So
your seated heats and not a part of Huff and Puff. Erin Buchholz is in a different house. She's in, well, we'll come up with it later. She's a little bit of slither and trying to get away here. Mary Wilkinson is going to stay right on her tail, does not believe that that's what's going to happen. These folks they're coming around the second time. This is their second lap. They've just passed the start-finish line, 27 kilometers to go. You don't know how far that is, Mixer? Sorry. Kick it into high gear. Pull up your phone and ask your phone.
17.2 miles right here, according to Carrie Conabert's avatar, which is in miles. So we can see it there. We can see it there. Okay, so here's what it looks like. 56 seconds back, we've got Jillian. We still have Mary and Ava in the front. They are up on the climb. I think they're going to stay together. I don't think those two are going to break up, but I think, Carrie and Anna should maybe work together and see if they can get something happening. All right, and we're back on board here with Sonia Inslee here, and she's looking pretty strong.
Yep, no kidding.
Watts per kilogram.
For some strange reason, I'm super hungry right now for 2 soft tacos and a hard shell taco from Taco Bell, if anybody's going. But is Inslee right here not going to take on a taco at this point? She wants to really lead this group. They're trying to chase down Gemma Onkers, the Vixen rider, who is up there with Bearden, who is our points leader for the women. And that's a good place to be if you're her. You want to stay on her wheel if you're Gemma Onkers and not get separated from the whole mix up there. Now, as they get a little bit closer to the climb here, Aaron trying to just stay on the wheel of Mary Wilkinson. Confundus charm in play, tries to get away from her, but too much for Erin Buchholz in the sense that she is too good for all of this. These two women climb these really, really well. I'm interested to see, and Beth, we're going to assign you to make sure we don't lose these because I will forget train of thought. Hey, look, butterflies. I'm back. We want to know what their overall time is coming up this hill to see what a sense we're going to have here. Aaron, if you are listening now, release your inner Kraken right now and make sure that you get to the top of this climb strong. Here's what we see from Wilkinson. This is a little while ago. This is her stream a little bit harder from the remote parts. I think she's in Hogsmeade where she streams from. She's not able to give us the perfect stream, but she does give us some stream, which is something.
Well, and she's also an incredible climber. I actually remember riding some rides with her and the times that she would post on the climbs. And she does a lot of outside climbing too. And she's just incredibly strong. You saw her there having like 8 watts per kilogram on the climb. And despite her stream kind of locking up a little bit, she did not look too suffering there. You saw the confetti fly was a PR for one of them. The time did disappear, but Sonia Inslee was her last time up this hill was 2:50 for her time. You can see on the left-hand side the QOM. That's the segment that they're doing right here on the hill, and you can see Buchholz there 1:58 and Wilkinson 1:57. So those are crushing times on this segment here.
My goodness.
It is.
I don't think I can get that time going down it.
Yeah, they actually, I'm shivering in my shoes thinking about ever having, I'm glad they're not zone B where I race because they would drop me so fast. It wouldn't take 2 or 3 laps. It would happen in the first lap. So they're really showing what they've got here. So Carrie Conabare working really hard here, coming up on the second time on this hilly segment here that is just relentless. It's short. Chris, that's the thing about this. You don't think you're like, oh, it's just 2 minutes. You don't think much of it, but it takes a number out of you. Back to the bends. They're coming back down the climb here on the backside, and they'll get across the bridge and enter the S's here.
And Dietrich Westerhoff, a strong B rider, doing a nice job staying in this field. There are multiple. That's a weird little attack going downhill right there. Back on board with Ben Chilon right here. Zone. This is the B bracket again. These folks are trying to chase on. All of these folks streaming over on CycleView.cbrworldcup.com. But we'll bring them to you here in this broadcast. You don't got to try to figure out how to get your Xbox over to CycleView. Don't worry about it. We'll keep it right here. This is what the OBS looks like for this guy. I cannot see who it is, but you can see the real work happening and people with their own setups. That's a great TV for Zwift. I can imagine the conversation between husband and wife in this situation. Honey, I'm going to buy a new TV. It is just for my cycling. What? Yeah, and it needs to be like a 60-incher. That's what people are doing.
Yes, they are, and they oftentimes you see, it is getting nice to get a glimpse into these pain caves, but you see people building these plush, like really, really super slick pain caves. I mean, when you spend so much time in them, they might as well be nice. But it is definitely something that you need to negotiate on the home front when you share finances, because some of the things that we've seen in surround sound and light dimming doesn't always isn't an inexpensive thing to trick them out the way that some of these folks do.
No kidding. And if we look at Julian Bayer right there, nobody knows this, but he's working so hard that he has actually started nuclear fusion inside. He's like actually got hydrogen and helium molecules collapsing on his core, and he's just become one bright hot spot in the sky. That's Julian right there.
And it's nice that it's green. I think that I think we all have different colors. That's our aura. We can take a look at his aura. That's what we're really watching.
And when we get back to the women, I hope we'll check in with Anna Barbado. I want to pay off. I get a lot of criticism that I'll throw an idea out there. Oh my gosh, I know where Hoffa is. And then I never get back to it. And people are like, you never paid that off. We want to know what flag that is that Anna Barbados got, but we won't do it right now. We're coming up to the big part here. We're seeing some folks actually pull back. We've got Kurt Pavels here, Morten Vang, Berkhold, also in this group. Penn Henderson, who we just saw that unbelievable Kona, Hawaii. We need to get in with him and find out if there's lava creeping toward his home. That is some scary business over on the Big Isle of Hawaii. Which makes me really concerned for my brothers. But they're trying to catch on to Pike and Brink, Muse, and Young, who are now at the front of this group. Young was actually 4 seconds behind on the first climb, and he has found himself climbing all the way to the front. It's a multinational lead group with Young, Pike and Brink, Muse. We've got UK, Germany, and Canada, or Canada. Which we're going to in just a little bit. What do people need to know about CVR World Cup Vancouver?
So we will be having our second World Cup of 2018 in Vancouver. The top points of each bracket, which is a global zones around the world, 8 different zones, will be competing head-to-head in a live competition. So what will happen is the riders will be checked in, they'll be weighed in, they'll be on calibrated equipment. So now everyone's at home, they might have a different trainer, they might have a different scale. There's all these different variations that, that affects your gameplay. And when you get to that World Cup event, everything is as level can be. When you're in a race on the roads, you don't have the same wind, you might hit a pothole. There are things that obviously that are little minor differences that you have to navigate. But when you're in the World Cup and you are competing head to head, you are down the line with all of these riders on calibrated equipment. And racing for thousands of dollars. I mean, there's a lot on the line here. So these racers want the chance to go after that prize money. They want the chance to prove themselves. They want the world stage. And these guys, week after week, show up. You have to come at least 6 out of 8 times to even be considered. And these guys bring it week after week. We're back on board with Penn Henderson here. And you can see the
best looking overlay here today. I'm just going to give him the makes me want to go there. Oh, I love the island so much. Gizmo home. So Penn actually flying the Hawaiian flag down there a little bit. He, you know what? We got to find a way to get him the Hawaiian flag. He could be the Hawaiian national champion and get that Hawaiian flag across his back, which is an interesting combination of the U.S., the French, and the UK.
But isn't Watopia in Hawaii?
It is not. Technically on a map, it's South Pacific, so you're headed in the right direction, but not quite there. Now, these guys are 11 seconds behind the group of Pike and Brink, Young, and Muse. Now, those guys are going fast and hard, but not that fast and not that hard, right? They're holding about 5.5 watts per kilo. This is a comfortable place for them. They're on lap 3 of 4. They got to climb up this one more time. They are now a collection of of assassins, right? These are mercenaries. I almost call them missionaries. What am I doing? They're a collection of mercenaries, right? A little bit of an attack right there by Steve Young. Pike and Brink is going to go on with him. I don't know what that's about. You need these guys to stay out in front of the likes of Penn, Henderson, Kurt Povels, and the rest of that crew. Burkhold chasing you. Morton Vang in that group as well. They are just they've got to stay together, right? Or they're going to get caught by those guys.
Yeah, they need to work together. That there is in the game, there is a drafting effect that's really felt more on the flats, but you do notice it on the climb as well, where you can just do a fraction. You can tuck in, get out of the wind. No one's towing these guys up the hill. No one's towing these guys up the hill. But see, as this levels out right about here, you do have a little bit of aerodynamic effect here. So staying tucked in and getting ready for that next little punch to finish out
really,
this climb.
Beth, this is at the halfway point of this race, and it's going to be over in like 20 minutes. But as they're kicking this thing up with only 17.4 kilometers to go in this men's A group, we've got Lars, Pike and Brink, and Steve Young, Burkhold, and Vang all starting to synergize, to coalesce, to come back together. They're going to find themselves in the same group, I think, here very, very soon. There's not a lot of impetus from Pike and Brink, the German, to get off the front here, nor is Muse really animating this. In fact, they may have the benefit of letting some of these guys, at least Vang and Muse, come back together because there are some mutual friends and teammates within this group, aren't there?
Yeah, and one of those things too, when you're making the decision, when you're in between, and how you're going to do it, and people are maybe perhaps talking to each other on Discord or communicating in apps. They they do tend to try to work together and see if you can get a coalition. And sometimes you're working together with somebody who's not even on your team.
I still got to go to Nampa today.
Okay,
that is so true. Here. Oh, Frank. Take it away.
We still hear you, Chris. Chris is taking a call, and he'll put himself on mute there. There we go. So right now we're still on board with Henderson. You can see that Young and Lars and Muse are 12 seconds up the road, and it's interesting because when I was looking at Lars' screen on his when he was climbing, you can see, look at that, 140, 141, and just now 155. So this third lap was his slowest climb up the hill. So he didn't bust himself up. He was in the front group. He knew he didn't have to punch it. The first 2 times he made this climb, he had to secure his position. He broke away on the second one, and now don't get me wrong, 155 is still a fast time up the climb, but it's not as fast as his first 2 times up. So now, being in the front, 16 seconds back with the chase group, he has a little bit more comfort that he didn't have to blow himself up and use it on that climb. So here we go.
Here we are.
The leaders. Yep, the leaders are coming across the line on their second lap, so they'll be hitting their third climb. And Chris, you were asking about paying attention to the climb times, and I was just, while we were talking about Lars, his first 2 times were within a second of each other. In his third, once he had secured the lead and didn't have to maybe bust it up so much, it was a little bit slower. So it'll be interesting to see if these women attack or if they stay together and try to tire the other one out. I haven't been with you on these zones. What can you tell me about the dynamics and who are our sprinters in this group?
Well, you know what? Mary Wilkinson never fails to disappoint. The sprinting game is an interesting one. You're either that type or you're not. As I have discovered, I wanted to be a sprinter. Guess what? I'm not. I'm a domestique. I'm really good at going back to the car, grabbing water bottles, and bringing them to the real racers, and then making, saying stuff like,
"You're hired."
Yes, exactly, and saying stuff like, "Hold your line." Right? That's what I do in races. That's what I'm famous for. But and hey, Mixer, thanks again for joining us. If you are like, what the heck is this? Who the heck are they? Click that follow. We'd love to have you notified whenever these men go live in the future. But I really think that Erin is the odds-on favorite if she can stay with Mary. Now, here's what's happened previously: is that Mary has left her on those climbs in the past, and she's found herself not sprinting with anybody because she came in across in a different spot. That is the danger, of course, something that can always happen. That is.
And so here we are, on the third time up the climb. It's going to get a little bit steeper here in a second, and there's a chance for, if someone wants to make a break, they can dig in here. If they want to hurt somebody, they can dig in here. That's usually the spot right about here before it flattens out, where if you just hang on, you have that one little, that like 50 feet of flat to hang in there. So Eva has to really hold on here to Mary's wheel and not let her go as they approach the flat, because that's where Mary can open it up if she keeps the power down. So she's got to close that little gap, and it looks like she saw that -0. There she goes. It's going to soften up a little bit on the legs, and she held it. So now, and I know this. I wasn't paying attention this morning or last night when I logged in to sign up for my race, and I was like, 4 laps, Hilly, who is the devil that designed this race? Again, these ladies are making it up in 2 minutes, which is just like neck breaking. That hurts. So here you can see that there's the gap, the chase pack. What do you think? So we've got Carrie, Jillian, and Anna, and they're 2 minutes back. I think they're going to be battling out for third. I don't think they're going to close that gap, even with a lap and a half left to go. I don't think that, unless they really start to really start hammering it down and working together, I don't see that gap closing. But what do you think, Chris? Sometimes my math, my huff and puff math.
That's right. Well, 2 + 2 is 4 - 1. That's 3. Quick math. Hard to do a little bit here. This is a good group of people. Yes, you do not have to ride with your hands, as is evident right here with Inslee. She is doing this, and checking in, maybe watching a little bit of the broadcast herself. That's what's great about this, is you've got access to the broadcasters while you race. So many cool esports things going on here. In fact, at some point in the next lap, remind me to talk to you about the surreal thing that I'm going to do immediately following this race. But I do have a question for Frank. So if we can get him in a moment, I'd love to be able to ask him that question. He's working the scenes. Okay, Anna Barbado has a flag right there, Beth. Do you know what flag that is?
You're going to give Mixer. You're going to give Mixer a prize to tell. So I'm.
The only thing we got from Mixer is some people who had to be banned because they're dum-dums, and somebody going to Taco Bell. But we did not get the answer that I was looking for, which is the flag of Galicia, right? Which is it's based on a medieval flag of the Kingdom of Galicia, which is St. Andrew's Cross. They're right in the middle. It's actually a really popular flag within the Americans. It came over to the Americas. It doesn't represent a current country. It represents St. Andrews and that movement and that church in general. It resembles the flag of Scotland. So, and I believe that's what she's got going right there. And you have now been taught.
I have gone to school, and there's probably nothing you could say that I would have been like, that sounds great, Chris. I believe you.
And Chris, since you called on me, why do I care?
You care because, you know what, we should always be learning. And the theme of the after school special, which is our lives.
Okay, but could we go back to negative infinity ×2? Because that sounds a lot more interesting than the flag we were talking. I'm just saying now, could be different for different people. Beth, you get to vote on which was more interesting. The flag of Galicia. Our producer says it was the flag of Galicia over here, but Beth, I'm hoping you're going to vote for negative infinity ×2.
Well, let me just say, so right now we're on with Ava, and see, this is where I'm going to be neutral. Keep calm and pedal hard. Everybody has a little mantra or a flag or something that represents their little personality on their stream. You know, I mean, this is really each of the riders that streams sort of has their own little canvas. They have their own little, you know, so putting these things up here really tells us more about the riders, which I think is pretty interesting because that tells us something about Anna, it tells us something about Ava. Eva, it is Eva with an E, correct? My eyes are. So I actually find all of it fascinating, and I'm glad it was something that was, you know, not like an obvious flag.
Well,
it made me feel.
Now, Beth, you did not feel very neutral on that at all. So it sounds to me like you really liked the flag. You liked it being personal. You did not like the impersonal, numbers-oriented Garcia.
Oh, no. So I was just on a roll. So let me get back to the numbers, Frank. So I am all about the numbers because I think it was I that brought up the -0 as a concept because there's no such thing. We talked about negative infinity. And because what happens is that, you know, when these gaps are 10 seconds, it's almost like you understand what 10 seconds means, but -0 is a little bit harder to understand. So,
and
adding infinity times 2.
Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, we have broken a record now on Mixer. Our viewers, concurrent viewers now is 0. So we have scared everybody off. I will record this and actually save it in case I have trouble sleeping.
Are you sure it wasn't -0?
It could. Here we go. And full circle. Excellent.
All right.
So many great people throwing in some great comments here. So sad for our guy Matt Looker. It would be interesting. I don't know if it's possible, Frank. I'll throw this out as a technical lift for our producer and our production team. But it would be interesting to see if we could get Mr. Matt Looker on call at the end of this race to just get his reaction. Maybe not. Maybe we'll save that for another week. That's fine. But that would be really interesting. Here's Penn Henderson. He's got this is such a good looking overlay, I think.
Well, you know, so talking about the mechanicals here for a second, we're coming underneath the banner for our 4th and final lap here in the men's race. But, you know, mechanicals, when we're out on the street, you know, we hit a pothole, we flat out, our chain drops, different things that can slow us down and are unexpected. But in the virtual world, we can also have a mechanical. And I've had a chain drop. We've had maybe, some dropouts there. There are many different technical things that can happen. And it's a bummer when it does. But that's why there are 8 chances and top 6. And I think with Looker's performance, I'm sure he's disappointed. But what number is he in the standings again? I'm going to take a look here.
You know what? I can dig it up too.
That was a very bad mechanical for him because he was I think if he did well this week, I think he was going to actually take the lead in the standings. So he's a little bit down, but he's 1 race behind. But his race average was very high. I think that's why he was super disappointed. And what it means,
I see.
It starts to make you nervous if you're him because he's got 1 week left. And he's got to perform, and he's got to perform well in that week. And now he's gonna, he's gonna get on the bike next week. He's gonna be worried about those mechanicals, right?
Yeah.
And so it's something that just really builds the anxiety, and he's gonna be nervous if he's like me all week long. In terms of being, having to deal with that sort of anxiety and just wanting to get over with it. You think you're going to get a trip, a big chance to win 10 grand in Vancouver, Canada, for winning the men's elite race, and bam, now you don't know if it's going to happen at all.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. I had a worn chain on my bike, and I brought it into my mechanic, and we swapped out the chain. And he's like, how's the cassettes on your trainer, and how many miles do they have?
But I'm going to jump in over the top. We're seeing a huge move by Lars Pike and bringing Jeff Muse, trying to separate themselves from that group that's there. They are really about 20 seconds ahead now, but there have been some explosions even in the chase group. Morton Vang says, we can't wait anymore, guys. Burkhold, Henderson chasing on. Now they're trying to use this hill as they should use this hill to make up as much ground as possible to get as much of an advantage as possible. And it looks like they're going to be able to do it. but those were some scary birds flying overhead, looked like bats. You've ridden this climb in races many, many times. In fact, we called you Lazarus in LA, Beth, because you came back from the dead so many times on this hill. What is the strategic advantage on this hill?
Oh man, you called me Lazarus. Oh yeah, well I did. I earned that title. So you see this in banner, 300 meters to go, and you can see him. The people in front slipping away, and those 2 seconds quickly become 4 seconds, quickly become 6 seconds. Because what ends up happening is it levels out just before you come under the banner. Not levels out. It just softens up just before you come under the banner. Those people can accelerate, and if they carry that acceleration over the top, you're still climbing, and they're coming down the backside. So this is a bad spot to have those 4 seconds. I've had those 4 seconds because 4 seconds on a flat is much different than 4 seconds at this moment right here, because the other folks have gone underneath the banner and they're starting to accelerate, and then it rubber bands out. So this, look, it's already 5 seconds in, and you have to dig.
And what you see here is very, very interesting. The guys who are on the front here are not letting up, right? This is when you crush somebody's spirit. This is when you ride away from them, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and you keep the power up. You see somebody suffering, and you are such a sadistic person that you increase your own suffering to increase their suffering and leave them behind. Or maybe you're a kind human being, and you're just trying to put them out of their suffering, and so that they don't try any longer to chase back on. But Penn Henderson here is doing a yeoman's job of absolutely staying on the gas and trying to get back, but it's going to be tough.
It is. Right. He knows that it's now or never for him right now. He's got to catch on. Jeff Muse currently holding that polka dot jersey, Beth, which, again, we talked a little bit about in the beginning, is a psychological advantage for the person who has it.
You know that when you see that polka dot jersey, that person has the fastest legs of the hour. So in this race right now, they have the fastest legs up that particular segment, and it could be their 30-day record if they got the confetti as well. But you can see that Henderson right now is still. It looks like he's coasting a little bit. He that 7 seconds. It's psychological. It is so psychological. The folks in front holding the power and keeping it on 6.3 watts per kilogram, not letting up.
Yeah, Burkholt and Vang are absolutely trying to crush this man's spirit and leave him behind. And I dare say his spirit won't be totally crushed. Oh, maybe potentially momentarily we see him getting out of the saddle, trying to keep the power with these guys, trying to pull them back. But that is what they are trying to do. They are trying to get him into a point to just give up, just to calm down, to throw in the towel for the day, and then they can rest. But they can't rest until he rests. And so this is just amazing to watch him get out of the saddle and just hammer time and time again. He is not going to give up.
No, he's not.
And this is
they are in the standings too, to make just a little bit more of this. Penn Henderson currently sitting 6th in the standings, or 6th in the race right now. And if he finishes where he is right now, he'll move from 11th to the top 10. And that's something to be really proud of in any zone, but especially this zone. I'm in the top 10 of this field. He could still finish as high as 8th place, but he's got to get in front of Yukio Burkholt.
Yeah, right now we have Lars and Muse and Young still up at the front, and they are they're kind of, I don't want to say relaxing, but 3.5 watts per kilogram. Now they're kind of going into a different zone, right? They've got they're going to have 1 lap to go, so they're probably going to save it for what's happening there. Now back to the women. We've got, it looks like Anna has joined this lead group of Mary and Eva. So this is really interesting.
I think she's a lap back.
Oh, did she? Okay.
After second lap, she was about 2.5 minutes back, I believe. I could be wrong here.
Okay, so she might have settled back and she's being lapped. Okay, got it. Yep.
I think that's a telemetry bug. We'll talk to the developers. I know them personally.
Okay.
You do. Good. But sometimes, what can happen too, and you do that in the race, when you look on the right-hand side of the screen with a list of riders, that's where it's more obvious for the placement. if you're wondering, the telemetry does show those gaps really well. So that's really helpful to see where they are in course. So, you know, still looking strong. Nice big smile from Eva. Keep calm and pedal hard. I'm going to keep that in my mind. I feel like that's a really good mantra to have, and she's sort of living by it here. She was up over 6 watts per kilogram with a big smile on her face. Look at her go. She's just she's not letting go of Wilkinson here at all. And so in the women's standings, I'll pull that up here. So Mary Wilkinson is currently number 1. If she stays 1 in this race, she will continue to be 1 in the zone. I think I'm reading that right. And in Ava will be 2nd if she takes 2nd. So there's a little bit of a points race. They're very close in the average points, with Wilkinson 1,001.8 and Ava 1,000.2. So there's these ladies have some skin in the game. 200 meters to go on this climb. Their last and final climb. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where she cannot let go of her. She needs
that
to
was
stay.
just a great pain face. That was awesome.
Oh, yes, and she's got to close that gap right now. This is what we talked about before, right? She can out-sprint her. That Ava can out-sprint Mary at the big finish here, but Mary can just erase her dreams as if it were a diskette. 5 1/4 inch floppy set too close to a magnet. She can erase those dreams right off of there in any WordPress or documents that might be on there. But that WordPerfect. Sorry, WordPress. I mommed
well,
it.
Ava is not letting it happen. She did not let it happen. She held on. She held on. So that was a great effort by her. So.
Yeah. Now, this is Anna Barbado, as we mentioned before. She's not in the same part of the course. She's trying to chase down Scott and Bearden, who are just up the road, and to finish the race. Now, we're coming across the JW Bridge, and this is at the top of that climb. They're all still together. Things are kind of starting to settle in here. These are the 3 men who have the best chance of finishing this. But here is the danger. Lars Peikenbrink, Steve Young, right? Jeff Muse. They're doing less than 3 watts per kilo. Morton Vang, Burkholt, Henderson, which are no longer really working together well. It looks like just 2 of them. Penn Henderson dropped off the back there. This was the top of the climb a moment ago as they just, fought to stay together here. They're not doing that much work to maybe to actually keep that gap the same. If these guys really hammer it, they could find themselves in the same group. Would they have anything to sprint at the end? Probably not.
No, but that's one of those sort of things that when you're working hard and you're in a race and you're trying to find motivation or sort of a purpose, I keep my mind very simple and quiet. And sometimes it's just like, hold this, watch what the front person, so I think that where Henderson is right now, where the chase group is concentrating on one singular thing. Is it closing the gap? Is it holding your watts? What are they focusing on?
Okay. Here comes the big finish, ladies and gentlemen. Real quick, Frank, who do you think it's going to be in this big sprint right here? Beth, you're to follow.
I am going to take Muse.
Muse. Very likely Steve Young is going to find himself with a long sprint out. He knows that these 2 guys have incredible power. Peikenbrink, a strong sprinter, but Jeff Muse, exactly as you thought, maybe the guy. Beth, what about you?
Yeah, I called Jeff at the top of the show, so I can't change my horses now.
No, what was that sound I heard in the background? Was that a mic drop? Hard to tell. But here we go. It is the 3 men, Peikenbrink, Muse, and of course Steve Young. Steve Young on the front right now. Peikenbrink positioning himself a little bit out of the saddle. You see the cadences reflected in the legs starting to come up here. We do not have a hard sprinter. There goes the first guy. Steve Young drifting a little bit to the front. The ride-ons over their heads. This is where it's going to come unglued. There we go. Steve Young trying to get away off the front, but it's not going to work. Peikenbrink with the highest watt so far. Nope, that's going to be Muse. These guys can't seem to get around Young. What is going on? Unbelievable attacks off the front. Can anybody get around him? Will it be Jeff Muse? No. Will it be Peikenbrink? No. It is Steve Young taking this victory. Week 7, Zone E, CVR World Cup League. This is what it looked like. Tell us, Beth, what's happening in these men?
Gosh, well, you see on the right-hand side of the screen, those numbers fly to red. The first person to go is Young, and then the other guys are forced to respond. Once they start to respond, there's a little bit of just scurry mayhem, because all you need to do is put your head down. As folks have told me, as I work on my sprints, they put their heads down and they need to go. But there just wasn't enough in Jeff's legs to get Young. There wasn't enough to
unbelievable on Pike and Brink's face. He knew he had a chance to win this. Those are two strong riders. He's got to be disappointed. Can't be that disappointed. I mean, seriously, if Shaq dunks on you, big sprint finish by Henderson. He wants to come across strong, and he beats Pauwels. Impressive. He managed to catch those guys on the last lap. That was some witchcraft and wizardry right there.
That was some blood, sweat, and tears on behalf of Henderson, because we knew he was battling out for 6th place. Okay, coming back to the women's right now, we've got Ava and Mary still together. They've got just about a little bit over 3 kilometers to go, and coming into the S's, and she's looking pretty relaxed. I know that Wilkinson's stream was a little choppy, so we can't see her body language or cadence or tension, but Ava looks pretty relaxed right now, and I'm wondering if she has something up her sleeve.
Yeah, she may, in fact, have something up her sleeve. We've got some folks here and there. Mixer.
She's not wearing sleeves. That was my joke. I didn't get it. You didn't get it.
I totally missed it. I totally. Beth, and let's be honest, I'm not really listening. I'm just kidding. No, but I know. I did. I totally missed it. It's the sleeveless look for her. They have not yet put in a sleeveless cycling jersey in the game yet, which I think is an interesting decision. It's not very popular in the cycling community. You don't want to race with somebody who doesn't have sleeves. It's kind of a strange little thing, but definitely interesting. Inslee in this chase group. Now, I was going to mention here, this is such an interesting esport. People are responding all over the place with wows and, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Yes, hardest video game ever. We're talking to you, Mixer. And if you're here, please click that follow, and we'll let you know when these ladies and these men are racing again. We are getting closer and closer to the huge live event in Vancouver, British Columbia. If you can make it, I'll give you an awkward, lingering hug. They're coming across the bridge here. It's going to punch up here. This is Mary's chance here a little bit. But specifically talking about this as an esport, it's a blend between physical esport and, well, it's the birth of physical esport, really, and what we would traditionally consider competitive video games. And for those who don't know, true story, I'm a director of a collegiate program and head coach of esports at a university. We have tons of teams. And today, this is the surreal piece that I was going to mention to you, Frank. Her companion already finished. He was in the previous race. But I'm actually going on to our local sports radio, which has become a regular thing, to talk about esports and a national championship run that we're going to hopefully culminate this weekend with a win in collegiate Hearthstone. One of my teams and 3 of my players are going to be there for that opportunity to win that national championship. But to our points here, this is physical esport. And Frank, the question to you is, you were onto this early. You were like, oh my gosh, this is like Dota 2, but this is like something else. This is like bike racing. This world that I live in, it's both of these things. They're working hard here. What, any thoughts before we close this out with this sprint finish for these 2 amazing athletes?
I will, but let's, we're right here at the sprint finish, basically, so we're going to take a look at that, and I'm going to let you make the call, or Beth make the call as you guys see fit, but here we go.
All right,
take it away, Chris.
Okay, that was the question. Quick question to the 2 of you before we kick off here. Wilkinson continues to show her strength and her dominance, the UK rider. Eva Buchholz, the German rider, shows that she is snappy, but we've seen her face. This is uncomfortable for her. She's in a tough spot. Who do you think, Beth, is going to take this sprint finish?
You know, gosh, I am going to be rooting for Ava here. I know that Mary is super strong, and she has a history of bringing the sprint, but I am going to put it on the line for Ava today.
Okay,
And
what
I
about
think
you,
that's
Frank?
because she's
I'm going with Ava as well. I'm just
Okay.
following Beth all day today.
All day.
yeah, but I was wrong with the men. I was wrong. I called Jeff when it was young, so I don't know.
That's okay, but then
All
I
right,
can blame it on you.
there we go. All right, here we go. We're going to be coming across that banner pretty soon. And when do they drop it? They're already at 4.7 watts per kilogram. We're going to
On the
start to
right
see some of those
side.
reds.
Go.
They need to go now. They are
300
waiting.
meters.
We've been seeing
Yep,
the women
300
just
meters on the
bursting a
side.
little bit late. There goes Mary Wilkinson, 8.1 watts per kilogram. She is digging in. She's digging in. And will Ava respond? Ava responds a little bit late, both over 10 watts per kilogram. And she's 5 meters back, and I don't know, 6 meters back. I don't think she's going to be able to do it. Comes to the line. It is Mary who is proving us wrong. I love it when I get proven wrong, but Ava worked her tail off. What Ava never did was she never gave up on those climbs. She proved her muster today, and here it is from her point of view. You can see that Mary goes. She does respond as soon as she sees Mary's go, but the way these trainers work, you're already 2 seconds behind if you're following. If you're responding, you have a chance of being too late here. So Mary takes it across the line, and just a few meters back is Ava.
And that is the way these things go, too. Great work. She put out so much effort on those climbs. The climbs undoubtedly were a little bit easier for Wilkinson. That is her strength, going uphill. Buchholz with the big sprint, we thought that she could come away with it, but Mary Wilkinson says, I will not be counted out. The YRC rider is doing a nice job all season, putting herself at the top of that group. And as we look at the women's standings today, we see that Mary Wilkinson now has put a 7-point lead on Ava Buchholz. And the crowd is bummed because they think she's doing great work. They are 1-2 in the standings, and no one is that close. Carrie Conabear in third position in this women's A, if she finishes in front of Jillian Bearden, who is in her finishing group. They're getting close to the finish. We're going to see another fabulous sprint finisher with those women in just a second. And I think we'll probably hang on to be able to watch this. This is a nice group that's together. Conabear, Haight, Inslee, Unkers. This is a group.
Yeah, this is a group. We've got Vixen riders in there. It looks like we've got some fearless riders in there. Strong riders. These are racers who show up to races all around Zwift, not just the CVR races, but they are very experienced in the game. They know how to play the game, and I think we're going to see another exciting finish. And that's the thing. Like throughout all the zones, throughout all the places, whether you're the lead group, the chase group, there is so much excitement going on in these races. It's just impossible for us to get to every single group. And I know that it's so that's why we want people to go to cycleview.tv. So if you have a friend who's racing and Chris and I aren't talking about it, you can see them on cycleview.tv. So we can do part of it, but you definitely have all of the power in your hands to watch and to cheer for these riders. So, when you cheer for the riders, you can contribute to the prize pool, which not only contributes to the prize pool as a whole, but contributes to the riders' individual earnings and payouts, which is really exciting for the riders. And so we're going to see finishes. We see great finishes. We see great races and great efforts, because whether you're in the lead, chase, B, C, whatever group you're in, you're working your tail off. You are working your tail off.
Hey, Beth.
And all of these. Yeah.
So here's the big question for you right now.
Okay.
So in
All
the
right.
standings here, whoever finishes in front of the other, whether it be Conabear or Jillian Bearden, will actually take over the third spot overall. Now, people may think, oh, well, what does that have to do with anything? It actually may determine an invite if they qualify for that opportunity. Invite it may determine their position in a possible postseason. All the things. Interesting things can happen, in those positions. Someone may not accept the invite. She doesn't see it in German, but Schliebe der Luck, that means close the gap in German. That is the one thing that Ava Buchholz tried to do but was unable to. This is starting to line out here, getting a little bit crazy here. Carrie Conaber needs to beat Julian Bearden across that line. The Fearless versus Vixen rivalry is real, isn't it, Beth?
It is real. It is, you know, both squads have some really strong ladies, and it's awesome to see these teams sort of use the tactics in these packs to battle it out. And we saw that in the team races here. So who's going to lead you out? Who's going to come around and take the sprint? Who is going to slingshot around at the end? In this group here, we've got tons of strong women, but I don't see anyone making their moves just yet. We're coming to that 200 banner. And I think we're going to see Conaber. I think we're going to see her come out there in the Mohawk. We've got Haight. We've got Bearden. We've got these fearless riders. And there's the 200 banner. I don't know why people wait for the banner. They should just go earlier. Wait, we've got Haight up the front here. And it is Haight. Okay, wait, there's Conaber. I'm like, come on, Carrie. Show us what you've got. Oh, by a nose. Too close to call. That looked really close, Chris. Let's see from her angle what it looks like. Sometimes it looks different from our angle, and sometimes it looks different from their angle, depending on what camera they have selected. Passing the 200-meter mark here. We're waiting, and we're waiting, and we see... There we go. Bearden and Haight add a little bit of gas right here, and it stays a little bit quiet. And there's the view from Gemma. Love her fox dancing in the background, but Haight is still in the lead until Carrie Conaber drops the hammer, and then you can see Gemma giving it everything she has. And then here we go. The little list pops up, but you can see that it was Carrie Conaber that did take it. The third place spot here, which, as you said, is really important in the points race, followed by Jillian, and then as you go to Haight and Bearden. So, you know, there's that point after everyone leans over the handlebars and wants to throw up or sigh or text their friends. It looks like Sonia's texting. Some confetti flying.
It's hard to tell at that point. Here's the replay. This is the way it looked with Carrie Conaber sneaking through the group with camera on board with her, Jillian Bearden, trying to close it down. But as we look at this side angle to get where the line is, thank you for that slow-mo. She actually takes the field sprint over Haight and Bearden and continues to just go a little bit harder afterwards. This is her point of view. She's got her head down. She knows what she has to do. It almost doesn't matter what other people are doing. She's just going to deliver what she can, shakes her head in excitement or knowledge of what's about to happen. She's in the back of the group and decides to start climbing through. There we see her in that purple with the stripe down the back, digging. It was her teammate, Gemma Onkers, on the front who took your advice, went early, and Haight comes around her. But look at that. The Huntress on the hunt. Carrie Conaber, Team Vixen, showing why she's the dangerous fox in all this. And we see with the slow motion, she comes around her at the very end, just up ahead there. And Gemma smiling, she sees her teammate with the victory, comes across very happy to be in that group and to have the finish that she did. Look at that satisfaction. The satisfaction in slow motion is even better.
It is. It really is. Well, that was some exciting racing here in Zone D CVR World Cup race number 7. Sorry, Zone E race number 7. There's Henderson's finish, and another little quick highlight here of one of our finishes. And you know, it's next week is going to be off the charts bonkers. It really is, because they're going to be battling for everything. Here we go. Young, 18. Is that 18? My eyes, like when we see these streams, my 16.3 watts per kilogram. It's just like imaginary crazy town, what he's doing here. And he holds it. He deserved that sprint at 16.6 watts per kilogram. Jeff Muse, 13.3. And you can see that in slow motion, a lot easier to see when it happens so fast. Lars there, head down, Avatar, and across the line for third.
Huge thanks to everyone involved today. We are just about at that point where we close things down. Huge thanks to our producer, Kathy. Of course, to Frank, the man putting all the wires together and making this awesome here. This is the conclusion, Beth, of week 7 of this second CVR World Cup League, and things are starting to shape up next week We'll know who get the direct invitations and who has a possibility to maybe climb through playoffs into a spot into the future of CVR World Cup. You'll get to see these racers live. Impressed? Question mark, Beth?
I am always impressed. It's always a surprise. It's always impressive. Real efforts, real people.
That's right, and that is why it's the hardest video game ever. We see these folks from all over the world race every week at CVR World Cup, and we love it. Hey, on Mixer, don't leave without clicking that follow button. We want to notify you when these women and men are racing. We also want the same on Facebook. We want to tell you their stories, and it's time to tell them. So as we conclude here, big thanks to our guy Frank, Beth, to you as well. It is so much fun broadcasting with you. We get to do it together, face-to-face for the third time, but we can't do it without Saris, without Cyclops, without PowerTap, and of course Garneau and the Peaks coaching group. They make all of this possible, and we appreciate it. So for myself, Dr. Chris Haskell, Beth York, and Padre Frank Garcia, I just made that up. We'll come up with the backstory later. We want to thank you. And for all of those who work behind the scenes, thank you so much for checking us out. We will see you in very short order on Mixer, on Facebook. We've got a race coming up here in just 2 hours, and we'll be broadcasting that from this location and for others. I know that we'll be together a little later. See you soon.